just what made this go too far, okay? Is what it ain't. It's your girl Umbrella, and I am back with another video. A little psycho, you feel me? Like a D-list movie. This is somebody that we should have heard about in school. What is going on with the school system? You guys are gonna be shocked when I say what I'm about to say, okay? What it is, what it ain't, it's your girl Umbrella, and I am back with another video, okay? This is the part 2 to the Emmett series. I'm so glad to be here recording this video for you guys. I'm so ready to get into the juicy part. You know, part 1 was just the intro, so this is going to be the meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, think of this as a lasagna. We're layering, okay? Just put down like the sauce, a little bit of the meat, you know, and now we're gonna get into the ricotta, okay, the cheese, you know, what keeps it together, you know what I'm saying? I'm so glad that you guys are here with me, so let's just jump right into the video. If you saw part 1, then you already know we're going to continue this story and that it's going to be juicy, okay? I don't do anything less than juicy on this channel, okay? So, you know, let's get into it. Make sure that you like, comment down below, and you subscribe to this channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to do this. With you guys supporting me, I have no doubt that we're going to get to this 1,000 subscribers really quick. It's going to be more on the way. I am going to be vlogging more because I really miss vlogging. I hope that you guys miss my vlogs too. There's going to be more going on as well with the vlogs, more, you know, going outside, going places, things like that. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and let's just jump right in the video. This part 2 is very important because it was important for me to really take a step back, okay, you know, and examine what happened in part 1, okay? In part 1, we dealt with the whole story of Emmett Till from start to finish, but we have to really dissect and figure out the backstory, okay? What we're gonna do is we're going to dissect Carolyn Bryant, the wife of Roy Bryant, one of the murderers of Emmett Till. What we're going to do is dissect her background to see just what would prompt her to escalate this situation further as to, you know, getting Emmett Till killed. Because she, you know, let's just keep it real, she has a part in the murder, you know, accessory to murder. In my opinion, I really feel like the murder was escalated and it got to a murder because of her. So I really want to dive deep into it and see just what made this go too far, okay? Carolyn Bryant was the daughter of a plantation manager, and her mother was a nurse. She grew up in Indianola, Mississippi, so we know that she's a Mississippi native, and she was born and raised in a white supremacist area. So she was raised around a lot of conservative, Confederate white people. So that's her background, you know. She dropped out of high school, and then she married Roy Bryant, who used to be a soldier in the war, but wasn't anymore upon their, you know, marriage. So what we know so far is that she is the daughter of a plantation manager. So her father was a plantation manager. He was in charge of, you know, bossing slaves around all day. So that's also tied into her background, as well as her being born and raised in a white supremacist area. So we know right off the bat that she has some of that in her. She watched, you know, her father be in charge and own slaves, you know, her whole life, on top of being born and raised in a community that is pro-racism and pro, you know, pro everything against Black people, pro Jim Crow, pro segregation, pro all of it, okay? And we know that she didn't do too well in school. She dropped out of school and got married, which is the story of a lot of women in the, I want to say 30s or 40s. You know, when you're back during that time, you know, you weren't nothing if you was a woman and you wasn't married at a certain age. Well, that's kind of the story of a lot of women back then. But getting married to someone that's an ex-soldier isn't really like the best way to marry if you know what I mean. You want to marry someone that has a little bit of meat in there, you know, has a little bit of money. We're talking about an ex-soldier, okay? They got married, and then Roy Bryant, he actually owned a grocery store. So he put some money into a grocery store called the Bryant's Grocery and Meat Market. So him and his half-brother, J.W. Milliam, the other murderer of Emmett Till, both, you know, worked at the store, probably was partners, whatever the case may be. Roy and Carolyn had 2 sons, and they all lived in 2 small rooms and behind the store. So what that sounds like to me is that they're not really making much money, and that they're living a very, you know, minimal life, very much poor for white people, you know what I'm saying? They're living, you know, very in poverty, you know. They have a unique situation because he's an ex-soldier, because, you know, they're in Mississippi, and, you know, this grocery store wasn't huge. I showed you a picture in the last video, but here's another picture so you can see what it looks like. It was a small, you know, grocery store, deli, whatever you want to call it. It's working class. Anytime they have a grocery store and they don't have, like, at least a house that they live in, that they live behind the store, like, they're kind of poor, okay? Then we're going to get to Roy's half-brother, J.W. Milliam. He was 6 feet tall, 235 pounds, and he was noted and said around that area that he loved, you know, beating up black people, intimidating black people because of his size, and just like picking on black people. Even though, you know, to have their store survive, they relied on a lot of black sharecroppers. A lot of black farmers in the area would, you know, trade their food for money to the grocery store. They needed black people to come trade food for money to help the grocery store succeed. If that didn't happen, they would have no grocery store. So I think it's very interesting that, you know, when it comes to survival, it's like they needed black people, but they also were still very racist because of their upbringings. So on the day of the 24th, Emmett Till, that was the day that Emmett Till walked in the store and whistled at the lady, and then the whole thing transpired. Emmett Till spent the day picking cotton before he went to the store, okay? We're gonna speed up to August the 28th, the day of his murder, 1955, you know what I'm saying, 2:30 in the morning. His great uncle claimed that he saw Carolyn Bryant actually get out of the car and point out, like, which kid was Emmett, because Emmett was also staying with his cousins. So there was multiple children in the house, multiple little boys. So they're saying, well, Mr. Wright is saying that he saw a lady get out of the car and point out which one was Emmett to identify. And that kind of makes sense because the husband wasn't there when he allegedly groped her or said something to her, which I don't think happened. And he wasn't there. So it's like, how would he know what the kid looked like? How would he know where they lived? Carolyn Bryant had to be involved in more than just saying that a little boy whistled at her. I think that she was there. I think that she identified Emmett Till. I think that his uncle is telling the truth. So, I told you guys in the last video that he could only be identified by the ring that was on his finger from his father, Lewis Till. What's also interesting about the trial was that both men, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milliam, they could not afford a lawyer. But because this case was so unique and it caused such a stir all over the world, 5 lawyers just jumped up at the chance to work with them at the time. The 3, meaning Roy Bryant, J.W. Milliam, and Carolyn Bryant, they actually became celebrities in their own town. Some people even called Carolyn Bryant Marilyn Monroe, which y'all know what she looks like. The picture's right here. It's not giving Marilyn Monroe. I think we're escalating that a little bit too much. I don't think we should do too much with the Marilyn Monroe comparison. I don't think that that's the case. And many white people in the community, because we're talking about a white supremacist area, came to the trial with picnic baskets and ice cream cones to wait out the deliberation. They knew that they weren't going to get charged because it was an all-white jury. You're in Mississippi. It's the 50s. It's Jim Crow. It was a lot of factors that led up to them getting acquitted. So I feel like the white people in the community knew that nothing was going to happen because no one wanted an uproar in the community. So at the trial, Carolyn actually testified that Emmett said ugly remarks to her before he whistled. So she said that in court. Then after the trial, the two men, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milliam, they sold their story to Look magazine for $4,000. January 1956 edition of Look magazine, they sold their story and they basically explained what happened in the trial. They literally explained their murder. Like, they literally explained how they killed him. They admitted to killing him because they knew that they couldn't be tried again because of the rule of double jeopardy, which means like you can't be tried again for the same case or the same murder. Even if after the case, if you admit to killing someone, like you can't be tried and sentenced for the same crime. So after this magazine came out and after, you know, of course, Emmett Till's funeral and his photo was surfaced all over the world, you know, this magazine came out, you know, a year later of them admitting what they did. And the town really, you know, supported the men at first. They had their back. They wanted them to get acquitted, but then when the magazine came out and the photos of Emmett Till surfaced, you know, people started to see, you know, cracks in the surface, and I don't think people really liked it too much because everyone in the whole world knew what happened. It was mixed reviews. Like, it wasn't like everybody was just with, you know, Emmett Till getting murdered. A lot of people was upset about it. A lot of people thought it was unjust. And I'm sure there was a lot of good white people out there that probably didn't say anything, but I'm sure that they felt like it was horrible to do that to a little boy. I'm sure that there was a lot of white people out there that felt that way. I think the bad thing about that is that we have a lot of good white people in this world. They just don't speak up when they see bad things happen. They don't use their white privilege when it's needed. They use it to get away with things. They use it for themselves. And I think that, you know, that's something that needs to change. You know, if there is good white people out there, where y'all at? Y'all need to speak up when y'all see something happen that's unjust. And that's just what I'm saying. First, they were supported by their community until, you know, the magazine came out and people read what they said, and they pretty much got ostracized from their own community. Like, people, you know, excluded them from clubs, and, you know, when people came around, they were like whispering, talking about them and stuff like that. So they were like, you know, people didn't want to associate with them after that magazine came out. Then after that, after everything happened, like, black sharecroppers stopped trading with them, stopped, you know, spending, you know, using their livestock to help them keep their business afloat. And their business quickly dwindled down and they had to close it down. You know, it was no way. They went out of business and the two men moved away to Texas. They did end up coming back to Mississippi years later, but it wasn't the same, of course. And another thing was John Witten, a defense attorney for the men, actually came out in a 1994 interview with the National Public Radio sound print program. He came out and said, "I'm not proud of it," when talking about the case of Emmett Till. He said, "I'm not proud of it," and I quote, I wished I had never been associated with it, because it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. I can't imagine being a defense attorney for those two racist pigs. Like, I can't imagine, you know, having that reputation to represent people like that. Like, I can't imagine. The same year, Roy Bryant did an interview after he became legally blind. And when asked about the case and Emmett Till, he said, and I quote, "Let that goddamn stuff die." That's what he said in 1994. J.W. Milliam, he ended up dying of bone cancer in 1981, and quickly after that interview, Roy Bryant died of cancer in 1994. Okay, so that is, you know, some interesting and juicy material for this video that's going to end this part 2, but there will be a part 3. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Please comment below your thoughts down below. And whenever I post on my community, make sure that you guys post some video suggestions. I am open to suggestions of things that I should talk about on this channel. It could be anything. It could be biopic series, whatever you guys like from me that you want me to keep coming. Make sure that you post that when I post on my community or under the comments, whatever works best for you guys. It's Ombre Alert. Make sure you comment below on this video. What are your thoughts? I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.